I am Sam Walker, and my world came crashing down yesterday. My wife, Kathy, the mother of our 10-year-old twins, Owen and Hannah, has been unfaithful to me. The betrayal hit like a punch to the gut, leaving me seething with anger and at a complete loss. But as furious as I am, I know that violence won't solve anything. A dead mother and a father in prison wouldn't bode well for my kids' future. The truth is, I had already been thinking about divorce before I found out about Kathy's affair with her boss, Eric Langston. Now, it's no longer a question. It's a certainty. I can't stay in this marriage, not after everything. Divorce seems inevitable, and I'm okay with that. But I won't lose much from it anyway. I've been working odd jobs over the past year: plumbing, lumberjacking, construction work, even assisting a private investigator. I'm not an expert in any of these, but I do enough to cover for missing workers, and I get the job done quickly, usually in half the time others take. That's what keeps the contractors happy and me busy. So now, I need to plan my next steps. I'm ready to move on, for me and for my kids. My wife, Kathy, is a successful lawyer, the kind of woman who seems to have everything figured out. It's almost a cliche, the simple-looking girl with the great body who got pregnant by the no-good jock and married him. She built her career, moving up the ranks in law, while I've been drifting between jobs, still searching for where I fit in. In a way, I'm the husband who lives off her earnings, though the irony is that in a divorce, I might even qualify for alimony. Her demanding career keeps her out of the house most of the time, and that's what worries me about the kids. If she gets custody, and let's face it, she probably will, what happens to Owen and Hannah? Kathy would have to cut back her work hours, but I'm not sure she'd want to. Even if she did, would she know how to handle them? I'm the one who's been around for them more often, making sure they're fed, safe, and doing all right. Do I blame myself for her affair? No, I don't think I'm some passive doormat who contributed to it. I've always been clear about what I am and am not willing to tolerate, and her betrayal crossed a line that I can't ignore. I know who I am, and I won't lose myself trying to fix something that's already broken. When I found out about the affair, I wondered if I were being strung along until she found better prospects. This happens a lot in marriages, but most of the time partners hang on long enough till the rough patch of the marriage gets over. I think it goes with the territory, hanging on through the rough patches. Do I have hope for us as a couple in our marriage? The answer is no. I do not see a path to recovery. Yes, I am still in love with my wife, but I fear my future and I am unhappy with my present. I am afraid I will be setting myself up for disaster or disappointment if I overlook this indiscretion. Since finding out about her affair, I have learned a new understanding about myself and my needs. I have redefined my path and my plans. I will need an ex-wife willing to be halfway supportive of me in order that I can continue a decent relationship with my kids. Easing her out of my life, I am sure I will be fine, happy and content, a better person in the long run. So, there you have it. I am a man whose woman is stepping out. What am I supposed to do in these circumstances? How am I to bring it up with Kathy? What about the twins? With all these questions in my mind, I sat down for breakfast on that Sunday morning. Kathy was sitting on the chair opposite mine reading a newspaper. It has been common for her to ignore me for days lately. I was not smart enough to weave a yarn with her anyway. I had barely finished my cup of coffee when she said, "I will be going out today. I have a day at a spa planned with Maria and Tammy. It might be late by the time I come back. We plan to go shopping, and then we will spend some time at the disco on 12th Street. How will we get a babysitter with this short notice?" I asked her, "Why? Do you have plans?" "I am going apartment hunting with Fred." "Fred? Moving out of his house? I thought he was getting along well with Wilma," she said. "No, Fred is not moving out," I said. This got her attention, and she neatly folded the newspaper and kept it on the dining table. She measured her words well while asking me, "Are you moving out? Is the apartment for you?" "Yes, I have been thinking about it for a long time. You and I married for all the wrong reasons. Do not get me wrong, I am not sorry about the kids. They mean more to me than life itself. But, let's face the facts. I am not an equal to you. I can never be the husband and life partner that you want. When you take a break from work and look around in a few years, you will get rid of me anyway. At that time, you will have all the options in the world. You will be rich, free of the hassles of bringing up babies, and you will still be an incredibly beautiful woman. The only one losing out will be me because I will be a poor nobody with a failed marriage behind me. If I work on a new relationship right now, maybe I can find a woman who will be happy to live the life I can afford. In a trailer home somewhere on the outskirts of the city. I am realist and I want to ground my feet again." She looked at me hard but did not reply. Then, with an elegant swoop, she got up and went to the living room. As I did the dishes, I saw her pacing in the living room talking on her mobile. When I stepped into the living room after doing the dishes, she was seated on the couch deep in thought. When she realized that I was in the room, she looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. Not overflowing, but a hint of them. "I have canceled the day at the spa," she said, and then asked me, "Can you skip apartment hunting today and talk?" "I can do that, but there will be little good to come out of a talk. I realize you are used to me now, and you will miss me when I'm gone, but it will get better with time. I am only a mute companion who takes care of your house and our children. Trust me, a good housekeeper can do all this, even more efficiently. I will call Fred to let him know we will go apartment hunting next Sunday." I went to the phone in the corner of the living room and made the call. When I came back to sit down with her, I saw that she had a glass of white wine and a beer on the table. I grabbed the beer and sat down. "So, what do we do now? Talk? I'm not very good at it, but let's do it anyway. What prompted you to spell the end of our marriage?" She went right for the jugular. "I have already said my piece on that. You deserve better. What you deserve is an educated man who can talk to you while you have your breakfast. You need a man who can take you to parties, someone you can introduce to your educated white-collared friends. You deserve a husband who is not a beer-guzzling simpleton. But there is another reason that drives my decision. We married for the wrong reason. We married because you were pregnant. We married because it seemed the right thing to do at the time. I will be honest to you, as I have always been. I was not in love with you when we married. I was a convenient lay for you. You were too busy with your studies and your new job to form a relationship. You met me, the guy who made you feel great in bed, and with whom there was no chance of any emotional complications." She tried to speak at this time and I stopped her. "You asked me a question. Please allow me to finish my reply. You will get enough opportunities to cross-examine me during your rebuttal." Her eyes widened for a moment when she realized that I actually knew how to speak. In the beginning of our marriage, she used to practice in front of me, and I had picked up a few words here and there, and even some of her mannerisms. When we started sleeping together, I knew my position. I was the relief guy. You came to me twice a week like clockwork and had your fill of sex. I never dreamed that I would end up being married to you. I knew you married me because you thought it would be easier to have children around with some help, rather than being a single mother. But then I did something stupid. Once we got married, I fell in love with you. Sure, it was not the love that is written about in Harlequin romances, but mine was love of a common man for his beautiful and charming wife. I stopped to catch my breath. Try as I may, I could not get rid of the feeling of loss and despair that engulfed me at that moment. Now her eyes had tears, and a few teardrops rolled down her silky smooth cheeks. I leaned and wiped the tears away. "It kills me to be the reason why you are crying, but when you hear me out you will know it is all for the best. In our 6 years of marriage, I have been a dutiful husband and have done everything to keep the flame alive. I remember hearing you one morning on the phone talking to Betty and telling her that you thought you were gaining weight and wanted to join a gym. I knew that you did not have enough time to join a gym and make a routine of it, so I did the next best thing. I built you a home gym. I will tell you something about the gym, something that you do not know. I did not take a penny from our joint accounts while building the gym. Every penny that went into the gym was mine. I sold my baseball cards for the money. These cards were collected by my grandpa and my pa, and there were some additions that I had made in my days as a contract player for the club. I sold them online and got about $12K for them. It was enough for the equipments and the fixtures, but did not cover for labor. So, I did what I do best. I invested my sweat and blood in it. I had to get 8 stitches for one of the wounds that I got during a small mishap. I took a swing of the beer and continued. "You have used it every day since then, but it is funny you never thanked me for it. You said it was wonderful and how it solved all your problems, and you even showed it off to your friends when they came around, but I am sure not one of them knows that it was my idea and my efforts that built the gym." By now, I could see that she was dying to say something, but I continued. "Do you remember the first time you threw a party for all your colleagues at the house? It was the day you made a junior partner. You asked me to get all the things arranged, and then you asked me if I would mind spending the evening bowling because I would be bored by the conversation at the party. I stayed away, of course. I knew my limitations, and I did not want to be an embarrassment to you. But I can tell you now that it hurt like hell. I did not go bowling. I went to a pub across town where I was sure of not running into any of my friends, and I sat alone in a booth and cried. That was about a year ago. On that night, I made a decision that I would bow out easily and not give you any further opportunities for putting me down. Call me a fool, call me a chicken, but I could not admit that it had to be done quickly. Because I delayed. I did give you opportunities to put me down, and you took them. Do you remember the day you came home all worked up because one of the cases you were working on suddenly had new evidence, and you had to analyze it all in one night? I think it was the case of the missing bid documents that made you a full partner. Eric had come home with you that day to drop you off, and I entered the living room just as you guys had settled in. Eric asked me, without a please, to get him a beer, and you chimed in that while I was at it, I could get you a glass of wine too. At that moment, Eric, whom I had met only a couple of times, was treating me like a manservant, and you allowed him, heck, even participated in my humiliation. That was 6 months ago. Since then, I have been saving a little at a time to enable me to move out. I know I am not as educated and as cultured as your friends, but I have been an honest, faithful, and loving husband. I do not have to take this from you or anyone. I am depressed all the time, and my self-esteem has gone into the toilet. Before I married you, I was poor guy, living for himself, but I was full of life. I went dancing, I had fun with my friends, and I loved hanging out with my friends and their wives. Now they avoid me because they know you do not like them. They would much rather not meet me than come between us. I am lonely. I am so lonely that I could die, and no one would miss me except our 2 children. By now, Kathy was openly crying. She was looking intently at my face and sobbing. I felt sorry for her, but she would land on her feet. Eric was already in the middle of a divorce, and he would be free to marry her when the dust settled. I don't like the guy at all, but I guess they deserve each other. Kathy ran off the bedroom when she realized that I had said my piece. I sat and drank beer. What else was there to do? It was later in the day, around noon, that she came down. She was still dressed as she was in the morning. It was obvious that she had been crying but was calm when she came down. You have had your say, and now it's my turn. I will start at the beginning of our relationship and work through the timeline. Yes, when I first met you, I was the prim and proper girl looking for some hot construction worker sex, and I found you. Yes, you are right that there was a comfort in the thought that we both expected nothing from our time together apart from mind-blowing sex. But then I did something stupid. I fell in love with you. I have a confession to make today. I did not become pregnant by chance. I knew that you would not think of me beyond a good lay and would never try to build a relationship with me, so I deliberately became pregnant. I was in love with you even before we got married. Then why? I started to speak when she put her finger on my lips and asked me to stay quiet while she had her say. Now, we come down to the gym that you talked about. I honestly had no idea that you sold your baseball cards for it. In fact, I had no idea you even had a collection. This shows how little effort I had made to assimilate myself in your life. I have been a selfish and pampered child all my life, and I thought that it was enough that I was trying to assimilate you into my life. Now that you have talked to me, I realize that I had not even done that. I was conveniently living 2 lives. No, that is wrong. I was just living one life, that of a working woman. You were still my sexual relief, and the children were my way of keeping you busy. She stopped speaking for a while and composed herself. I am not even sure how things got the way they have. The only reason I avoided taking you to my office gatherings is because I thought you would be uncomfortable. As for not fraternizing with your friends, look at me. Do I have any friends? I have lost touch with all my friends, so how am I supposed to keep in touch with yours? I think it was because I knew that my job was important for us. I have lived with the pressure of being the sole breadwinner for the house. As for love, yes, I do love you still. You are an honest man, and no one can blame you for not trying. We all live with the limitations that we are given. Your limitation is your lack of education, and I cannot complain because I knew, even before I married you, that you would be struggling professionally all your life. I guess in my closed mind that made you a loser, but then not everyone is cut out to be a professional success. Look at me. I am a loser too, at least on personal front. She stopped and looked hard at me. The question is where we go from here. I do not see any other option but divorce. I am not getting a doctorate anytime soon, and I will be what I am. I said, and you deserve better. I was thinking at that very moment that I deserved better than a cheating wife, but I did not want to part on a sour note. That would put a dent into my relationship with my children. If she knew I was in the know of her relationship, she might avoid contact with me, either out of shame or resentment, and that would mean less contact with my children. But I do not want a divorce, she said. Life cannot always be about what you want. There will be times when what I want would matter too, and this is just one of those times. I am sorry, but I am not in love with the woman you have become. I respect you for your conviction and your contribution as the earning member of this family, but I do not love you anymore. I said, you are young, and I am sure that you will find someone who will be an equal partner to you. Just let me go. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. So, this is it? I guess so. I have consulted a lawyer as the first consultation was free. The only thing I want from the divorce is that you pay for the lawyer and that you give me unlimited visitation. I will not abuse the unlimited visitation and will accept any boundaries you set for me. I will be available as a babysitter anytime you have a social commitment, even a date. I will need a couple of hours heads up, though. Traveling on buses can be time-consuming. I laid my card in front of her. You do not want any alimony or split in marital assets. You have supported me in my job by taking care of the household, and you deserve some. She was quick to point out. Somehow, I don't want a divorce was missing now. I am leaving this marriage with exactly what I came in with, nothing. I have $3,000 saved, and that should tide me over while I try to stand on my feet. What are your plans after the divorce? She almost felt relieved that she was getting off with giving me nothing. I am not sure. I am just sure that they do not include you. I gave a curt reply. I can fight the divorce and make it tough for you. In fact, I will do that. I do not want a divorce. I want us to work on this marriage. Her defiance was back. I am sure you can, but you can't make me love you if I won't, I said, and started thinking I might have to bring up her adultery to get rid of her. I did not want to do that and lose my children. I know how the courts are always in favor of the wife and how a poor guy like me, with no money to pay even the lawyer, would fare. I honestly love you. I beg for just one chance, and if you are not satisfied with our marriage in another 3 months, I will agree for the divorce, she bargained. Why? Will I suddenly become more acceptable to your friends? Will you be able to take time off from work and work on this marriage? Will you be able to wipe out the humiliation that was heaped on me for so long? Just accept it. I will never be good enough for you. Marrying me was a good romantic notion for a young woman, but you are a grown-up now, and you deserve better than an inferior life partner. We had a good run till now. I do not want a divorce when one of us is having an affair with someone else to fulfill some need in our lives. If we divorce now, it will be amicable, and we will still remain friends. I stopped. Okay, if you're hell-bent on this, I will agree. There is no point in flogging a dead horse. I wish you would have talked to me earlier, so that we could have worked on this and not reached this point, she said, resigned to the fate of our marriage. I am not blaming you for the divorce. I have only said what I have for your benefit. You are not been used to being in a relationship of equals for some time, and I do not want you to fall into the same trap with your next husband. I smiled reassuringly. I got up and told her, I am moving to the basement for a few days till I find a place to move into. We will talk to the kids and make them understand that we will still be their parents, but just not married to each other. My only request to you will be that you abstain from bringing dates home till such time as our divorce is final. It will help in their accepting the man in your life easier. If you do it too soon, they might resent you for replacing me too soon. You are still thinking about me. You still love me, she exclaimed. Why are you doing this to the family? How can you do this to your children? I know you want to hurt me, but you are hurting the children too. I wish I could tell you the real reason for the divorce, I thought, but that will damage my chances with my children. I said nothing and walked into the bedroom to get my things. She followed me, stood at the door as I went about gathering my things from the closet. Will you at least spend one night with me as a goodbye? That will only create more complications. I am not sure it is a good idea, but we have been sleeping together till last night, she complained. Oh, if you mean just sleeping together, I can do it for old time's sake, but not making love. I am not up to it, I replied. Why? Honestly, I've forgotten how to. It's been 3 months since you last said yes to my advances. I haven't even tried in last 2 months. Has it been so long? Why didn't you say something? She did not realize how long had it been since we last made love. Did you not miss sex in 3 months? I know you, and I know you cannot do without sex for this long. I have suspected infidelity for quite some time, but then someone as honorable as you will not do something so distasteful. I was losing my resolve. Her former sexual relief has not had any sexual relief because of her affair. I guess I was not even good enough for that anymore. A nanny, that is all I was, a nanny. I have never cheated on you. My sex drive is not as high as it once was. On top of it, my job pressure keeps me worn down, she said. So this is what it is all about, isn't it? Us not having sex? You did not listen to a word I said, did you? I sighed. You do not show me any affection. You do not think I am socially acceptable in your circle. You do not have sex with me. You do not talk to me unless it is about the children. You do not respect me. What do you do to show me that we are husband and wife? If I did all of that, would you call it a marriage? Fine. If you really feel this way, it is best we go our separate ways, she finally said, irritated. We slept together, and in the morning, while she was at work, I moved all my stuff to the basement. I left the wedding ring and our engagement ring on the bedside table and neatly arranged her clothes in the freed-up space in the wardrobe. I removed all my pictures from the bedroom and replaced them with the photos of our kids. I looked around and removed all the stuff that was mine. I took out 3 suits and 4 pairs of decent costly shoes and packed the rest in a cardboard box and labeled it, "For Salvation Army," and placed them in the garage. Children came and had their lunch, and as always became busy with their studies and games. It was in the evening that I sat down with Kathy to talk to the children and tell them about the impending divorce. "Your mom and I are getting a divorce. I will be moving out of the house soon, and you will continue living here with your mom," I said. Before I could assure them that we still loved them, Owen stood up and Hannah started crying. "It is because mom is sleeping with her boss, isn't it? Don't divorce because of this." She told him on the phone that she was just sleeping with him but loved you. "She still loves you," Owen shouted and ran to his room. I just took Hannah in my arms and calmed her crying while Kathy just sat there waiting for the sky to fall. I took Hannah to her room and stayed with her till she went to sleep. As I came out, I saw Kathy sitting at the exact spot where I left her an hour ago. I poured a glass of wine for her and a beer for myself and went and sat down beside her. "I am sure Owen misheard you. Children have an overactive imagination. Don't feel bad. He will understand once we clarify the matter to him," I said as I sat the glass of wine down for her. "You knew. Your reaction told me that you knew," Kathy said. "You did not look shocked or saddened. You just looked like a deer caught in headlights. Why should it matter? Did I suspect you were having an affair? Yes. Do I blame you? No. I had to salvage the situation somehow. I did not want my relationship with my children to get strained. We haven't made love in a long time, and I know how your body works and how you crave for sex every 3 to 4 days. If you were not coming to me for sexual relief, you had found it somewhere else. And trust me, I understand. I am not highly educated, but I do read and I know the concept of a work spouse. You had been talking about Eric like a work spouse for a long time, and I am to blame that I did not talk about this earlier. I am sure you never realized when Eric took over from me, but he is your work and bed spouse now. Be with him. Be honest to yourself and admit that my utility in your life is nearly over. What I no longer do can be done by any good nanny, and your money can buy plenty of them. But I do not love Eric," Kathy whispered. "Do you love me?" I asked. "Yes." "Then how can you neglect me so badly and give Eric something that was supposed to be mine? How can you hurt me so badly when you love me? How can you allow Eric to treat me like a manservant when you love me? How can you let him laugh at my expense when you love me? How can you justify being sexually fulfilled with him in his bed when I am waking off to your picture?" I stopped. I had tears in my eyes. Damn, it was not supposed to come out like this. I had no idea the children knew, and that they would thwart my plan. I don't know. I am ashamed. I am sorry, but most of all I am confused about what am I supposed to do next. I did let Eric into my life, but it was more by accident than anything else. I did not plan on it. It was at one of the longer conferences when I had been away from you almost 2 weeks due to my schedule. I was feeling randy, and after a few drinks I ended up in his bed. We both felt remorse the next morning. I have no plausible explanation for sleeping together after that day, but I guess it was just getting our rocks off more than anything else. She paused. "Eric did not treat you like a manservant. You see, over the years I have talked so much about you with him, that in his mind the two of you are friends. He has a strange familiarity with you because he knows what color shirts you like. What is your favorite food? In fact, if you were to quiz him about all that you like and dislike, he will score a 100%. He has no idea that I do not talk about him with you. In fact, I do not talk to you at all." She stopped and sighed. Catching a breath, she went on. "He was starting divorce proceedings against his wife at the time we started. He had come to know that his wife was sleeping with a colleague of hers. Last week, he withdrew the petition of divorce after he saw the parallel between his sleeping with me and her infidelity. He understood that they were spending too much time apart and has decided to work on his marriage. This also means that I do not sleep with him anymore. He is going to resign his administrative position after the next AGM, and I am in line to take over. That would entail more traveling and less time with you and kids. If we divorce, I will have to forego that promotion, and I will end up working under someone less competent than me." I had no clue where Kathy was going with her rambling, and maybe she didn't either. I just sat there, listening, trying to make sense of the mess spilling out of her mouth. What was she even trying to say? That Eric, my so-called friend, had no problem betraying me behind my back? That the affair was only over because he called it off, not her? So if he hadn't ended it, she'd still be sneaking around with him? And now, she wanted to salvage our marriage just so she could take her promotion and travel even more, leaving me and the kids behind? I couldn't tell if she was trying to fix things or just making them worse. Every word out of her mouth felt like she was digging herself deeper into the hole, and I was just sitting there, wondering how we even got to this point. "I am not sure what are you driving at," I said, and that opened the tear works. I was afraid that she was going to go into a fit or something. But after an uncontrolled, inconsolable bout of crying for 10 minutes, she calmed down enough to make some sense. I will be lost without you. I do not know anything else apart from being what I have made of myself. How will I face life without you? She said, almost despondent. I will lose everything if I lose you. You never really had me. What we had was just the illusion of a marriage, I said, my voice steady, though my heart ached as Kathy sat there, broken and in tears. We may not be married for much longer, but I will always be here for you because you're the mother of my children. Your pain will only cause them pain, and I won't let that happen. I don't have love or respect left for you, and we were never the best of friends, but we are bound together by Owen and Hannah. For their sake, I'll always be around. I paused, watching her crumble under the weight of my words, but I knew it had to be said. I'm sure happier days will come for both of us, just not together. It broke my heart to see her like that, but this was the reality we had reached. All I could hope for was that she wouldn't try to come between me and my kids. Life goes on, I murmured, standing up to leave. And it will, for both of us.